After the game against Aston Villa, I spoke to Mikel Arteta, and I thought he handled the situation, Charlie, really well. He sort of played it down. We're going to get defeated. We're going to lose. We're going to drop points. That is what is going to happen in the title race. But our job is to stay calm and to make sure that we keep laser focused on our goal. Shouldn't really be that much of a surprise. It was never really going to be a procession, was it?
No, it was never. The Premier League doesn't allow you to do that. It's unless you're incredible at the levels you are, like Man City have done over the years, and Liverpool winning the title. But for Arsenal, they're still trying to build, and they're progressing every year, week on week. They're getting better, but they've lost two centre backs. The pairing is the best centre back pairing in Europe at the moment. So that's a huge miss to them, because a big part of what they do, set plays for and against, which are massive. So. No, I think, for Arsenal, if they can get through that period and still being in around the top of the league, and maybe even if Man City go above them, but they're still in touch and distance with that, then I think they'll be in a good place going into January, and getting their better players back fit again would definitely help them.
Crook and I are very good at giving each other stick for our crap predictions, but we're also very good at highlighting the ones that we've done okay with. They're few and far between, but Crook's one that he's suggested now that Manchester United might finish in the top 5. Hey, Crook, that looks all right now, doesn't it? That looks okay. It didn't a couple of weeks ago, but it's sort of getting there.
It looks all right this week. Let's see what happens next week.
And my Manchester City for the title one is looking okay now. It's all right. It's not too bad. You're not jibing me for that anymore, are you?
In fairness, you've never deserted them, even when it looked like Arsenal might run away with it. Listen, I'm still going to come down on the side of Arsenal. I don't think losing to Aston Villa away from home is an absolute disaster, and I think they've got a kind run of fixtures in December. 4 out of their 5 Premier League games are at home, which I think is a bonus because they're pretty much imperious at the Emirates. Yes, their form away from home has tailed off lately, but again, Chelsea in a derby, not a terrible point. Sunderland away from home, not many teams are going to go and win there. And Villa, as I've mentioned. So I think Arsenal have margin for error. City don't really, because they've already lost a number of matches.
Yeah, but the gap is only 2 points. And the problem that Arsenal had last year was not losing games, it was drawing games. And that has happened recently. So I think, as much as we can talk about, Manchester City lose too many matches, but they win a lot of matches as well. And I think that's the key. It's the ratio of the wins that is really important, because you get 3 points for a win, only 1 for a draw, obviously. But that disparity is quite big. Look, Arsenal have built a very deep squad, and I think we all sat there in the summer and thought this is the best squad because it's the most balanced. They've got 2 players for every position. But Charlie, they seem to pick up quite a lot of injuries. Is that because they play at a certain level of intensity? It can't be anything they're doing in training, because I spoke to Declan Rice last week and he was telling me, basically, we do 20 minutes of training a day, no more than that.
Yeah, again, and that's them just prepping for games and tactical stuff, bit set play. But it's the intensity of the Premier League, the intensity that Mikel wants them to play at. I would like to see, I'd be good to look at the numbers in terms of the stats where Arsenal are in terms of high intensity sprint distance. In the Premier League, it'll be high. They'll be up there, and but they max out on every single game and every single action. So yeah, that's why they're picking up injuries as well. But again, they're playing a lot of games. The team doesn't change too much either. So yeah, they want to try and get the best players fit, and I think keeping Declan Rice fit and available for them is a huge factor in terms of how they're playing, because I think since he's gone to Arsenal, his game's gone to a different level, and he's as crucial to Arsenal, to England as any player at the moment, and he's playing at the real top of his game at the moment.
That's really interesting, isn't it? Because what you said there was the team doesn't change that much, and that's a criticism that some of the Arsenal supporters have had of Mikel Arteta in previous years. And actually, with the increase in the depth in squad, many people thought there'd be a lot more rotation. But when I was talking to him about the schedule, I think it was probably a week ago now, and after the Brentford game, I was looking through the squad and I was thinking, well, hold on a second. Brentford have rested all these players for tonight's game, but they've only changed a couple here, Arsenal. And I expect them to change a lot more, by the way, when they go to Brugge in midweek. But things like Christian Norgard hasn't started a Premier League game yet. Could he have not sort of used Norgard to replace Rice or Zubimendi at some point in this season, just to sort of give those players a little bit of a rest, just to sort of mitigate against the chances of injury? Could maybe Ben White have played in the team a little bit earlier, just to rotate one of those centre halves or the right back out, so that they could have just taken the pressure, the load off maybe Mosquera or Gabriel or Saliba? Could that have been possible, Crook? Has he got to get better at that? Has he still not quite got his rotation right?
Yeah, it's a criticism we've levelled at him in the past, particularly when it came to Bukayo Saka. He got a bit better with him, actually. He does come off in games now, and wouldn't surprise him if he sits out one of these two this week, either in Belgium or against Wolves at the weekend, which is a game you would expect Arsenal to win with relative comfort. The Gyökeres situation fascinates me because Aston Villa, away from home, tough opponents, as we've said. I know he's not been fully fit in recent weeks, but the fact he went with Mikel Merino again up front when Gyökeres is back in the squad, I think tells me that he still doesn't have complete faith in Gyökeres when it comes to the big games, and I still expect him to get most of his goals against the Leicesterites in the Premier League, as he tended to do in Portugal.
I think the Premier League is so competitive and it's so intense. I don't think you can actually drop or change too many because of what the levels are and where Arsenal are in the league. They want that role because they know Man City are always going to come good and stuff like that. But for Gyökeres, sports science are probably going to say to him, listen, for the long period of him, maybe he's been carrying a niggle or an injury, for the long period to keep him fit and available for the rest of the season, you can't throw him straight back in. Maybe he needs 20 minutes here, he needs half an hour there, just to build him up again to get going. So there's a lot goes into what managers are getting told on a weekly basis from the sports science or the medical team to say, if you put him in, he's at risk of re-injuring or doing this. So I just think because of the intensity of the Premier League there is moments, but I think, like say, for Champions League, Arsenal in good place. Maybe they will leave a few out tonight, and then they can look at the weekend as well, because you would expect them to beat Wolves. But no, there's a lot goes on to trying to pick a team.
And do we underestimate the intensity of the Premier League in comparison to the other leagues across the world? Because if you look at Gyökeres, who's fantastic not only in Portugal but did a brilliant job in the Champions League as well, and we say that he scored against the Leicesterites, he got a Champions League hat-trick against Manchester City last season. You look at Florian Wirtz, who was absolutely terrific at Bayer Leverkusen, unstoppable, even played brilliantly for Germany in Euro 2024. And you look at someone like Benjamin Šeško, who again, great numbers in Leipzig, good goal scorer, good physical specimen. But all these players come to the Premier League and it's very difficult for them to hit the ground running. It takes a very special player to do that. Now, different players adapt in different ways. Some of them physically are up to it right from the very start. But do we underestimate just how hard this league is, Charlie?
Yes, but I do think about these signings have gone to the elite level. They've gone to the elite clubs where the pressure is. And I've said it before, I've said it with Wirtz, I've said it with Kerkez at Liverpool at the moment. You could be 6 out of 10 and get away with it. At Liverpool, you can't. You need to be 8, 9, 10 out of 10 every week, and that's the level and the consistency you have to be at. So again, for Šeško going to Manchester United, he's judged straight away. Gyökeres, he's judged straight away being Arsenal's number 9. The money they spent, it was the number 9 that they said they all needed. He was going to be a goal scorer. It takes time to settle. He's played in the Championship for Coventry. To then go to Sporting Lisbon to come back to the Premier League, it's a big step up in his career. So it does take time, and it'll take, a lot of the foreign players or come. It takes them 6 to 8 months to sort of a season, maybe even just to get used to the Premier League. So I think, like I say, the tough times are ahead for some players, but some will start to grow in the next few months, getting used to the intensity and the level and playing for these big clubs.
What was it like for you when you first turned from Blackpool to Liverpool? What was it like, that transition? Did you find the pressure really difficult initially?
I didn't, not the pressure. I felt the pressure to impose myself, but also to show that I was a good player to the top players, and that's what. But I was used to pressure as a young player playing for Rangers, big club. I understood how to win and needed to win every week. That was the reasons why. But for me, it was more about trying to impress the senior players that were in the teams, Gerrards, Carragher's, Pepe Reina, Dirk Kuyt, people like that, to go, you know what, I'm good enough to be here. And that was just a self-conscious thing that I had to prove. But it took me 4, 5, 6 weeks to really feel comfortable within the group.